Alright guys, time to go back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and a very warm welcome indeed to the madness that is going to be the major weekend beginning later today. Gonna talk about the matches of course in a few minutes time, but first of all some very interesting topics to dive into once again. And try to take your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Let's get into things then. So first of all, this from God Gamepedia thought was pretty entertaining. You versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. This was Silly's sticker from last year, the signature. Of course, these are like electronically done, so it's not maybe quite the same. Maybe there's more appeal to this one, right? Because it seems like Silly has drawn this himself, as opposed to this one which has been digitally rendered somehow or another. I kind of thought it was funny that, well, the difference between Silly's signature last year that we did talk about a fair bit before the World Championship. Let's talk about this as well then, because the rumours have continued these last couple of days regarding exactly what's going to be happening later this year with the Call of Duty game. We heard that, I'm pretty sure in like their quarterly announcement or whatever, Activision came out and said, yeah, Call of Duty World War II Vanguard, they didn't really name it or anything, but okay, Sledgehammer working on it. That is, very much clear, and that has been announced at this point. But, okay, they were basically saying, yeah, it's all fine, lads, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. But the rumours have been coming out behind the scenes that Call of Duty World War II Vanguard, as it's meant to be, is not really progressing as they would like it to, especially on the multiplayer side. There has been some rumours, the fact that, okay, is Vanguard actually going to have a multiplayer this year, or is, it's just going to be campaign only or something like that? And what does that mean for competitive play, well, more generally? And of course, that would be a massive thing for the Call of Duty franchise. The rumour has it as well that potentially they're going to be releasing Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, the multiplayer for it. I'm pretty sure they released like last year or the year before the Modern Warfare 2 like campaign remaster. I'm pretty sure they did that. So you'd think that maybe they've got it in reserve, ready to go if they have to bring it MW2 multiplayer remastered. Now, okay, whether or not this is actually going to happen, it remains a very different question. There's been a lot of things said about this either way. Now, what this means for competitive, of course, is a very big question, because this year we're playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Every single year we play the current Call of Duty game, and I'm sure they want to keep the CDL playing whatever, well, the majority of casual players are playing. Now, whether that means, because this is the question to me, the fact that Warzone, even if Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered comes out, I'm pretty sure that Warzone will still be the most popular thing that is played in Call of Duty. So does that mean that, either the CDL will say, okay, you're playing Modern Warfare next year, or you're going to play Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War again next year? I really doubt we'd be going back to Modern Warfare 2 Remastered if that was the case. I think it's much more likely that we stay on one of the newer Call of Duty titles. Now, hopefully, if that is the case at the very least, I hope we do get a new COD game. That's, of course, what we like to see. But if, obviously it'd be crazy scenes if we didn't. But if we have to stay on a game, I think COD War would be fine, especially if they keep adding new maps. Maybe they change the weapon balancing and stuff like this. I think that'd be kind of cool to see, to just like a complete refresh of Black Ops Cold War for next season, get completely new weapon metas into the game, add some new Black Ops 2 maps, even more than they already have. Something along those lines. I think that might be the most sensible option. Tom Henderson did say, look, we're not even getting Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer this year. So on this evidence, you'd imagine we might be playing one of these titles from the last couple of years once again. There has been some discussion from the pros regarding, Hitch says this first of all, there are rumours circulating that the next COD title will be delayed. If this is the case, I think the COD should be played in the CDL, should be on an older title. Of course, I think we'd all love to see, personally, if we went back to Black Ops 3, that would be spectacular, I think. I just don't think it's ever going to happen, but yeah, I kind of wish that was the case. I imagine they will stay on one of the later titles. As Morg says, look, no shot we're playing Modern Warfare 2 next year. Right, and this is well from JCat, right? Some of the OGs of the scene. JCat, you got Rambo Ray, for example. You've got Big Timer. If Big Timer is down, I am down. So, well, run it back, get the Supermax. It's kind of, it's kind of funny in a way. You could argue that Paddy P. Aches Price is certainly, eyeing up the opportunity of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered to come back and win the World Championship again. I wouldn't be surprised if he could actually put on a show. And as Dashi and Ilya saying right here, look, wish I could have competed in Black Ops 3, says Dashi. And Ilya, I suppose, in the same boat. Game was absolutely unreal. Completely agree on this front. It'd be so entertaining to see it played once again in competitive play. I just don't think, unfortunately, it's going to happen. Its time is probably past, and maybe we will get World War II Vanguard multiplayer and no one's really going to worry about it too much. But I think it is certainly a question that is up in the air that the pros are released, considering what exactly does the CDL run on next year. And it's probably not the greatest look for anyone. If it will, of course, Activision want to push out a game where they make so much money off these games coming out every single year. That's got to be a number one priority for them. And if they have to release some sort of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer that I've got in reserve, I don't really know what they're going to do, but certainly something to keep your eyes on going forwards. Thought I'd mention this as well that Scum was talking about yesterday then. So quite a lot of, discussion really as of late. The fact that, okay, Formal was saying in the lead up to their matches, especially up against FaZe, the fact that, yes, their practice was looking good, but they just failed to execute in the matches. And I was watching the Reverse Sweep yesterday, the show with, Katie Bedford, Pac-Man and Denable, and they were saying some interesting things, and then I think it was Pac-Man saying, especially the fact that, okay, the reason why Formal's saying this is because, they want to make people believe that they're actually doing okay behind the scenes, whereas in reality maybe it's not going so well, which I thought was an interesting take on the matter, but Scump says some pretty similar things here. The fact that, like, yes, look, they're looking pretty good in scrims right now, but of course they can't really prove it. The fact that they aren't streaming scrims, saying, okay, it's been pretty frustrating for them the last couple of weeks. They've been looking relatively good in practice. They come into the matches and, well, they're failing to execute. Of course, up against FaZe, they had a difficult time for a number of reasons, not just because FaZe were playing phenomenal Call of Duty, but because of all the server drama and stuff like this. So, well, I'll put tweets out right, I thought I'd bring it up on screen as I kind of explain the next element of the story, and that was when Scump was talking about when they are going back to streaming scrims. Of course, we know that Optic stopped streaming scrims, well, when they kind of had their first downfall, and we see this a little bit every single year, I think, with Optic, where they start pretty strong, they have, they have a bit of an off middle of the season, and then they decide, okay, it must be to do with our scrims being streamed, and other teams can kind of look at it, and we'll get some info, and maybe, okay, when we're streaming as well, it means that we can't fully concentrate maybe on the matches that are being played, at least on the practice, and maybe you're not 100% concentrated, you're like 98% concentrated or something, which may of course take something away, and that has been, well, one of the two reasons really why other teams don't tend to stream their practice. But okay, Optic have tended to do so when they have a little bit of a tough time in the middle of the season. Often they'll decide to, well, put it away for a while, and Scump says right here they are planning to get back to streaming scrims right after the major concludes, which of course is a pretty good sign for fans, and if anything, their hardpoint actually got worse after they stopped streaming their practice.
But we've been looking good. I mean, we just haven't been translating it to matches nearly as well as we were, and that's what's kind of frustrating, because we look good and then we just don't play good in the match. It's like, you need to stream scrims again? So I talked to the team, so we were going to start this week, but it was kind of timing because this is obviously major week, so it's like, it's kind of hard to want to get back into streaming practice the week of a major. So we're just gonna wait till next week, but I think we're starting the streams back up next week for scrims. Start after the major? Yeah, that's the plan for right now. I mean, if it wasn't major week, we probably just would have started, but, you know, obviously the major is really important for us. We got to make a run, dude. It's one and done. It's a spot to be in, let me tell you. You could go in, lose one match, boom, peace. Out of the major. How have I been feeling? Dude, it's just been a cycle. Like I said on my Warzone stream, it's like we practice every day pretty much, and then without streaming, it's like if we're practicing every day and then we go into our matches and we're losing our matches and then we're just receiving walls and walls of hate. It's like the past 3 weeks have just been so dude. Because it's like there's nothing to show for it. It's just, and nobody can see our practice either, so it's like people just assume that we suck now, which we definitely don't. But just nobody sees anything other than our matches, and we're not executing in the matches, so it's been a cycle.
Speaking of Optic, of course, there was a reply from Crim6 to this tweet from Sensor that we looked at, I believe, yesterday. Red flags all throughout this photo. Hoodie way too baggy, hand gesture indicating you're too at a close distance, willingness, abandon, loyalty by swapping teams to achieve his objective. This man is most definitely wearing a wire. And as well as Sensor says right here, so you're basically afraid. I'm going to come in and absolutely smoke you, Mr. Crim6. Dallas Empire is going to stand no chance against Optic Doug. This guy absolutely out of control. And well, this tweet comes out from Optic Center _ time to set things straight. This could be the new dynasty lineup for, well, the Optic Gaming team. So let's talk about exactly what's going to be happening later today. That, of course, is the major getting underway. Atlanta FaZe versus Dallas Empire is probably the biggest matchup of the day. This is a winners round 1 game that I did not expect to happen. It was the grand finals, of course, way back in stage 1 major now. And yes, FaZe versus Dallas, always a banger. You can see this in finals, they're actually 2-1 in favor, that being the Dallas Empire. But head-to-head series, I believe, so far this season, it's actually FaZe 3-0 up against the Dallas Empire so far. I mean, obviously at the stage 1 major, Dallas did not have the prettiest time up against them. But event wins, it actually goes in the favor of the Empire once again. So crazy stuff. I'm pretty sure FaZe should be relatively clear favorites coming into this one, unless Dallas can continue their form that they showed in pretty impressive fashion, to be honest, up against the Minnesota Rocker a few days ago. But even if they play like that, I'm not sure it's going to be too much match for FaZe, who have been looking, well, they've been looking lights out these last couple of weeks, certainly after a little bit of a slump that they went into, you can argue. And well, the fans certainly agree. The final result of this poll saying 86% towards Atlanta FaZe today, 14% to the Dallas Empire. And this is the bracket if you guys needed reminding. So FaZe versus Empire here in winners round 1. Of course, well, all the 4 games on the far left side of the screen are the ones being played today. We'll look at the schedule in just a second. And then, of course, the winner of FaZe Empire plays Ultra. That's going to be a banger. Winner of Mutineers Thieves plays New York Subliners. I mean, honestly, all these brackets and all these matches and winners are crazy in this bracket. And down in the elimination side, it's far from easy as well for some of these teams. We definitely saw last time round some teams made something of a fair, decent run in the losers bracket. I wonder if there's one of these these teams you guys expect to make a run. I think that honestly Ravens have something of a chance if they play like they did against Surge just a few days ago, especially with the hardpoint looking as it was. But even if they do get past Paris Legion, Minnesota Rokkr are relatively good at their veto decisions. I think banning out the maps that Ravens are pretty good at, so I think that maybe Ravens might have a harder time if they're not playing Apocalypse hardpoint and if they're not playing, for example, Checkmate Control that they're pretty good at. An Optic sit right here in the bracket, so there's a lot of matches to be won if they want to make a run in this tournament. It's going to be very difficult to do so, especially with the absolute gauntlet dropping down from the winners bracket, whoever loses up here. So I'm not exactly sure who slots in where. I guess we will have to see over time, and this then is the schedule. So later today we have London Royal Ravens versus the Paris Legion. First time I believe this season seeing this kind of European derby. I think Ravens should be favourites here, but Paris have been very up and down. I mean, they occasionally look relatively good in a series, and then it all falls apart. So I think the more consistency probably goes on the side of London. And then we've got LAG versus Seattle Surge. This, of course, is the classic matchup that Seattle won like all their points off LAG last season. Hasn't really been the case this season, and if anything, I think that LAG might be slight favourites here, just given how Seattle looked pretty poor last week, especially against the Ravens matchup. And LAG seem capable of taking pretty much anyone to a Game 5, and if this series goes to a Game 5, I probably think that LAG have, well, the upper hand just about. We've seen a couple of times lately that LAG have taken, I think, teams like Florida, they took Dallas as well to Game 5, but lost both those series. Maybe they did to the Minnesota Rokkr as well. So I think they're up against Seattle. It might be just their final time to get over the line. Then, of course, we've got FaZe versus Empire in the winners bracket as their Mutineers versus Los Angeles Thieves. I think I'd love to see Thieves win this one. I want to see them with Hook make a crazy run. I think them up against New York Subliners could be a nice little rematch there in the winners bracket, especially we just saw that matchup last week, maybe with some more practice under the Thieves belt, so they can really put up a better fight than they did before. And I think FaZe are probably going to win this, and of course the rematch versus Toronto Ultra, if they do have that, would be kind of crazy if FaZe win this and then they play Ultra round 2, and we get the two grand finals of Stage 1 Major and Stage 2 Major happening already in the tournament as of the Friday. Saturday there's 5 games, as you can see. Probably what I'll do here for the Thursday and Friday is record the video after the first 3 games, upload it just as soon as the final game finishes, so I can get to bed at the very least a reasonable hour. But intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section on this stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I'll grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.